I will explain a little bit more in details what it means and why all these aspects are equally important. Okay, let's say that we have an excellent guy who is doing the job with the welder. We have excellent procedure, but we start using let's say consumable which is not appropriate on the job. So in that case, it means output of this process is going to be wrong. It is not going to be the quality of the weld. Same, I can say that we are using the best consumables in the world, even if the excellent is fit up, but if we are using a wrong procedure, again, of course, that output is going to be wrong. So it may affect the quality up to level that we are able to repair the job until, and also it can go up to the level that really we cannot repair anymore the job. So here is one of example. What happened not only on the one vessel, it happened on so many vessels. And as you can see here, it's not basically root gap. This is not root gap. This is something that is very serious. So even today we have discussion what was the root cause for this type of accident, and it was basically in design, it was in material, it was electrodes, it was so many aspects was wrong in this case. So this is it was like introduction to explain you the procedures. So here is the procedure, and I try to explain in this slide what it means welding the procedure. Here is the definition from SB 9, where as you can see, and every definition is not so clear. This is instruction, this is document to provide the guidance how to do on the job according to requirement of the class, of the code, or of the client. In this case, the project. Sorry. So after this very logical question is why we are doing the qualification of the procedure. And I would say that this is a reason for that is to verify that application of the weld is basically appropriate, so that mechanical properties of the weld are appropriate. On the job, we can do NDT, of course, and we can verify that we don't have any slug inclusions or any other defect, but with NDT, we cannot see how much is the strength of the weld, like example. Okay, so next slide is basically an example of the procedure, and of course it is not so clear, but the idea of this slide is only to show you that the procedure must be approved by the class. The procedure is supposed to be approved by the client. The procedure is supposed to be prepared by the guys which are having experience and qualification. And in procedure, it's given basically how to do the job. Here, you can see this is only basically instruction how to do the fit up, and later on how to do the job, and also specifying what kind of electrodes or any other consumables what we are using in the welding, like gas, in this case CO2, and so on. So this is basically a very short story about the procedure. Nothing much to say. Next one, what is important, and as we saw on that slide, that affecting the quality of the weld is basically qualification of the welders. Why we are doing qualification of the welders? Not sure not to spend the money or to get one piece of the paper. The reason is basically to ensure that he is able to do the job, to deposit weld which is sound. So here is also a definition from SB9. Okay, next logical question is basically how long the certificate is valid. We have these two approaches. One is in Europe, then validity is always expiring in 2 years, after 2 years. But in American codes, we have a situation that once when you qualify the guy, he is a welder for indefinite time. Of course, you shall provide evidence that he is working as a welder in last 6 months. How you can do it? You can do it, of course, with appropriate entity report. Appropriate entity report means that in entity report must be given the process which is basically mentioned in the qualification. So you cannot submit, like example, FCAW entity report if you want to revalidate the guy who is doing SMAW. Of course, always a reason for requalification of the welder, it may be that he is doing some very bad job, or if he notices that one guy is causing always repair on the project, so of course the reason, it is enough reason to send him for requalification. What I want to say, and this is basically simple advice, what we are doing here in Dry Dock for the job, steel job in the tanks, or any job which is related to the AWS D11. With the piping, we are using qualification of the welders as per SB9. Of course, some of the clients, especially from Europe, may ask for some other qualification, like as per European norms, or some other codes. But what is important and what is as a rule here in the yard, that all guys which are working on the piping must be qualified with SB9, and all other guys as per AWS D11. Of course, what is very important to mention here, that all certificate must be approved by Ajax member, by any of Ajax member. Here, often I'm getting certificates which are approved by ABS Industrial, with GL Industrial, and some other agencies, which is basically not acceptable for the classes. If you're asking me why, I don't have clear answer, but this is the feedback. This is the feedback what I got. Let's say ABS Industrial simply not accepting the ABS class is not accepting ABS in industrial approval. It's very strange, but okay. Here are the examples of qualification. As you can see, approval of ABS is there. So it means Ajax member approval is here. And here is the range of qualification. It's very important that your supervision is aware what is the range of qualification for the guys. And I don't think so that you can see, but here is given example of AWS D11 guy, and also SME9 certification, which is relevant to the piping. Of course, it's always good when you are doing qualification that with one sample you are trying to cover as much as possible range of qualification. And in this case, of course, you can always approach us and ask for advice. We are always open for advice. Okay. Next slide is basically a summary of all this what we are talking. You can see very common defects what we have here in the yard. One of these defects is basically undercut, and this undercut it's basically it's initiation of many other problems, like let's say on the cracks and so on and so on. Of course, here is one of other defects, very common. It's basically over-welding or very high reinforcement, and as you can see here, this area is like a notch, and it will reduce, of course, the fatigue of the weld, fatigue strength of the weld. Here, it's very common mistake also, especially with sub-arc welding, when we are doing sub-arc without gouging. And this is one of the very typical example where we are not doing the job as per the procedure. If you are doing job as per the procedure, I'm sure that all these things is not going to happen. Here, on this lower line, you can see basically how job is supposed to be done. This macro here is even done in a float welding procedure, and as you can see, it is very nice macro. No undercuts, very shallow weld. Here is also one very thick plate, also a very nice weld, and as you can see, not excessive reinforcement of the weld. Here again one more example of very nice weld, which needs to be, basically the idea of this slide is to show you how the job is supposed to be done and what kind of defects you should avoid. Of course, so many other defects we can find in the weld, but here are some of very common, I would say. At the end of this very short discussion, I will make a summary. What it's very important to remember. How to do the job. All answers are given in procedure. Who is able to do the job, you can check in welder's qualification. If you still have any doubt regarding the job, always approach welding engineer, and you will have answer. So basically, this is it from my side. Yes, in general, yes. To be very precise, we should see what is written in client's specification. If we are talking about, let's say, SBM specification, which is very strict, then your answer will be no. Guys which are working on this other job, structural, they must be qualified on AWS D11. Other guys must be on SV9. But in general, yes. Okay.
Can you elaborate what we're doing to help the subcontractors with WPSs with their identification cards?
Yeah,
what you're
it's very
doing.
interesting. Yeah. What we are trying to do now is to implement basically qualification cards system, which is going to give you very fast information what kind of the job he is able to do. So it will be very small card which is laminated, which is valid in 6 months. So you can, every time you can check on the job, is he really able to qualify the job or not. So we already done job with ISR. It was excellent job. After that we finished the Rarifield, or I will say almost finished.
80%.
Yeah, around 80%. And I hope now you will start approaching us, and in short time it is going to be a requirement of the year that all your guys must have the qualification card if they want to work inside the company, inside by the dog. Okay. Is there any other question? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I request our technical director, Stuart Baxter, to have his concluding words, please.
Gentlemen, I hope you're all qualityed out now. I think you've probably had enough of it so far. I'd just like to thank you all once again for attending, making this forum so open and easy. If there is any more questions, all the departments quite open for you to approach them. Come and have a word with Sajid, have a word with myself, any of the other guys, and we'll help you out. If there is any more calls for these sorts of forums, we'll be quite happy to run them, maybe not in this venue, but in some other venue at some other time. So we'll just leave it like that. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Sajid, for organising a great day. I'm sure people have learned a lot. Thanks for all your team, and I'll get round all of you later on this week. Thank you personally. Drive safely.